Well, welcome to Love Akron Live. We are so excited that you are here, and hopefully, you've gotten to see a little bit more about this noun to verb movement campaign. And it's what we've been doing in response to COVID-19 and really where our culture is. Now, we got a great conversation for you today. I know you can't see me right now, but in just a moment, I guess I will show you myself. um, there we go. There we go. All right. Hi, everybody. This is Benjamin Beaver. Welcome to Love Akron Live, where we have conversations cross sector, across our entire community, and talk about really important things that are happening right now. And my friend, Coach Kent Boyd, is jumping on right now. So let's bring him in. Coach, can you hear me, sir? This is always the first 5 minutes of every Zoom meeting of all time is, can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Oh, there you are.
Hey, man.
How are you, Coach?
I'm all right.
You got that look. We are going live right
What'd you
now.
say?
Um, well,
If you need to go to the store, go ahead.
see what I love is I had to have this conversation right before starting the live stream with my kids. I'm like, all right, guys, Daddy's gonna be going live, so just don't come running downstairs. And so far, what we've said is there hasn't been a naked child run across the back yet, but we are waiting for the day to come, and hopefully it doesn't come any sooner. But Coach, where you at right now, and how you doing?
I'm at home. I'm doing well. Some days are more challenging than others, but I'm here. I'm on Love Akron Live, so that makes things a little bit better.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we a little bit later we're gonna have Matt Reed from Direction Home. We're gonna have an interview with him probably in the next 20 minutes or so, asking him about some of the opportunities that Direction Home has for those that are, I believe, 16 above. But we'll hear more from Matt, Direction Home, great partners with Love Akron. But first thing that we wanted to do is last week we had an incredible conversation with Bishop Joey Johnson.
We sure did.
And oh my goodness, man. What I loved, I walked away from that conversation feeling loved by Bishop. Not
Mm.
only as a just a friend or a new friend and a brother, but honestly, as we joke around on here, the ignorant white male, I felt very loved and educated through our conversation last week. How about you,
Mm.
Coach? What kind of things jumped out to you last week?
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, I was very appreciative of Bishop Johnson's time. I know that he's doing a lot of work within the city of Akron, and for him to take time out to talk to us and not only just talk to us, but to talk to Greater Akron, man, and to share, I think was really cool. There was a lot of things I think I took away from it. The biggest thing that I think I've come back to just in my own personal life is, man, moving at the speed of trust. And what does that look like? How do we do that? Because I think, by me practicing that in my own life, it helps to, if you will, posture me in patience and understanding,
Hmm.
because I think we can get to going, especially before this coronavirus hit, man. We were all trying to move, I think, more at the speed of light. And it's like go, 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 go. And so as he talked about moving at the speed of trust, that's just a different way of looking at things. But also, man, I'm still just unpacking even some of the things that he said about, canoeing the mountains, because as I've said here before, that's a book that I'm currently reading and diving into. And it's hard to get out of certain chapters because you keep rereading it. But I think just the amount of, I think, positivity and optimism as well that I felt like he had for every person. I didn't feel like it. I think sometimes when you start having conversations on race, I think those conversations can go one or two ways. They can go to, I think, white brothers and sisters feeling very defensive
Yep.
about some things. And think that black brothers and sisters can get more on the offensive. But I think Bishop did a great job of speaking well about the issues of what was going on and just bringing some really great information, I think, to all of us. And it's not, if you will, about us feeling shortchanged or short-sighted or defensive about things, but I think it's just about, this is why we do what we do here. I think at Love Akron, is to raise awareness and to give a platform to be able to speak from, to help raise awareness of other people. Because some people, man, hey, that's the thing about us being in our silos, right? The more I'm in my
Mm-hmm.
silo, what I know is I know my silo, or I know my box. But
Hmm.
if I don't travel too often outside of my silo, then I'm not really aware of the other things that are going on in other places or in other silos. So to me, that was just a great discussion because it heightens the awareness and the senses of us all. Even me as a black man, it heightened my awareness of that. Man, I need to be mindful from a socioeconomic perspective,
Yep.
of minorities, right? That, man, there were some people that, when this happened, and and they had to get laid off from work, man, they felt it that day in that moment. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, so it's just great, man, just really good. I really appreciate all of our listeners out there and our callers that chimed in with questions or just really great comments, and let's kind of keep that discussion going.
Yeah, in fact, now all of our listeners, this is you might be listening from a couple different platforms today. This is a new part of Love Akron Live. We're actually going live to Facebook as well as our YouTube channel, and then we're working on the Instagram one right now, going live, but all at the same time, so we can get this message out there. But one of the things that we wanted to do, just sitting here, is actually look back on a quote from what we affectionately call Bishop Talks Akron, because he's talking not only to Akron but about Akron.
Mm.
So let's see if everybody can hear this. I really hope so because it's a really really good clip. So let's give it a listen. Oh my gosh! So, Coach, could you hear all that piece right there?
I could not.
Oh, so you heard a lot. I'll go ahead and repeat it just in case we're still getting all of our technology up to snuff. But he said, uh, let me bring it back real quick. Sorry. Minoritized people always suffer disproportionately in social crisis.
Mm.
So, minoritized people. And it was very interesting, even in our conversation with Bishop. I said, well, minorities, and he specifically used the word minoritized.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a cultural word, and I think it actually says it a lot better because whenever I say, oh, Coach Kemp, you're a minority group or something of the sort, it feels very noun to me. Like it feels very well, like that's a person, place, or thing. But
Mm.
minoritized, this struck me very deeply because I'm like, that's an
Mm.
active um, oppression. Is that too strong of a word? Like, um, it captures it better because it's anyone who is being minoritized, not just what we
Mm.
consider our normal minorities. Um, so how have you found this to be true in COVID-19, Coach?
Um, before we go to that, man, I think you brought up something interesting, man. That's a heavy thing. What does minoritized mean? Does that mean the oppressive population versus the privileged population?
Hmm.
And I know that makes people nervous, right?
We are well aware that we are much more comfortable using these words in
Yeah,
public.
yeah, because I think then when you look at the minoritized people, that doesn't, if you will, give it a concept of race,
Hmm.
um, if you will, right? Because that can mean social economic, that can mean, man, generational, that can mean a lot of different things, which I think makes it more comfortable for people to talk about because it's not a race question or race discussion.
Yeah, it plays into race for
No
sure.
doubt, no doubt.
Um, but I even think about a lot of times. I was we do make the joke that I'm the ignorant white male, but it's not. I'm just not the ignorant white person.
Mm,
There's minoritized females right here in Greater Akron,
yep.
and I'm completely ignorant to it because I'm a man, but I'm
Hmm.
learning.
Yes.
And what I loved, it's a lot wider. But let's talk COVID-19, 2020. What is it? I put May 22nd on this the other day. April 22nd. Um, how do you see this to be true today in Akron? Not out there in the news somewhere, but how do you see that minoritized people, to Bishop's quote, are disproportionately, always suffer disproportionately in social crisis?
I think in COVID-19, I think maybe how that's happening, if we look at, um, man, you can look at sectors of our society, right? Whether it's, man, faith-based community, when you look at maybe some of your smaller churches that are not some of your biggest churches, having to transition to be a little bit more digital, that may not have the bandwidth to do that, the
Hmm.
bandwidth or the resources to be able to function, from a live stream perspective or from a Zoom call perspective, or even the awareness of the know-how. That's why I think for us at Love Akron, we said, what's our role in helping that? And we have offered a training, if you will, sessions or videos to help out some of those pastors who want to function in that way during COVID-19. But I think also, it goes to a good friend of ours, Dr. Julie Slattery, saying, "Hey, I've already went to a lot of my neighbors where I live out here, in her words, suburban land, um, and every
The weirdest theme park ever is suburban land.
yeah, who has said that, hey, I've went to my neighbors and my friends here, and we're all kind of holding up well, but she made a call to say, hey, what's going on in Akron? How can we help to serve in Akron? Because even though she didn't use the word, it's the awareness of, or the lack of awareness that, hey, I need to find out what's going on here, and maybe something is going on there in a deeper way that we can help. And I think, Akron Public Schools right now is doing a tremendous job by, if you will, helping some of those marginalized individuals, especially socioeconomically, where, man, for a while, and I think even still now, they were offering lunch and food, for a lot of
Hmm.
the students,
Hmm.
because there wasn't the structure of school anymore. And when you take that away, what are those students missing out on? They're not just missing out on the educational process of the day and the structure of education, but, man, you're missing out on two possible meals for that day. Um, and so I appreciate Akron Public Schools taking it forward and say, hey, man, we still want to offer some type of assistance in meals, but I think also offering, if there are students out there who now have to function in this new online, if you will, world, like, yeah, man, we don't have Wi-Fi, we don't have anything like that, man. They're offering and they're actually reaching out to some of their partners to say, hey, we need to get hotspots for our students. So
Yep.
that becomes, if you will, kind of the marginalized group. And I think it's affecting them because why? It's shaking up kind of the continuity or the status quo of what they've been used to. And when those things happen, I think for the marginalized individuals, man, it may take 2 weeks to 2 months to really find your footing in all that. But by then, it could be too late. You could be out of a job. You could be out of a home. You could be without this. And our government and our city government, man, I think has done a great job with providing different type of opportunities and
Yep.
resources to help to offset those things. But man, it's I think the turnaround or the transition isn't as smooth for the marginalized, and also I think it takes a lot longer for you to find your step or your footing, um, especially during this COVID-19 process.
Yeah, and this whole conversation, this quote from Bishop actually came out of faith leaders around Greater Akron and really Ohio at large. Um, it came from a conversation that you were having in the community,
Hmm.
and it's something that Bishop, which I appreciated so much, was he bringing up? Just saying, basically, I mean, literally saying this quote that that there's always a suffering that's disproportional in social crisis.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, and I'm just speaking for myself as the ignorant white man, I mostly just think about myself, just to be,
Mm.
just to be hot with you, Coach.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, shoot, man, I gotta figure out what to do with my kids. And that stuff's real. We're not
Mhm.
saying that some of those pieces aren't real, but take a piece of that, just a piece of that kind of discomfort, and put that on top of going through a really, really hard time already, and
Yeah.
this just being insult to injury.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the
so
compounding effect.
yeah, and it's a snowball, man, because
Yeah.
it's like because then it runs into the mental health factor. It
Hmm.
runs into because at this point during COVID-19, it's hard to have hope.
Mm.
And if you didn't have hope uh, running into this, think of how far set back. And those listening might be in that spot, man. We can't really fix anything, but we would love to connect with you. Please reach out to us here on Facebook or YouTube or on our website loveakron.org. But maybe just for a second, how do you keep hope alive, Coach, when it comes to times of crisis like this?
Man, that's a big question. Um, you know, so you said, how do you keep it alive? And I think, man, but if I don't have any hope to begin with, how do I even garner to have hope? And
No hope to
so,
rub together there, you know?
yeah, it's like, man, I got to have some hope, first of all, right? And so, as you talk about the people that what the pandemic of COVID did, it simply, it was the avalanche effect to where there might have been some hope there because, man, I was making some headway, right? I was, maybe putting some checks together, putting some savings together, paying some bills, getting caught up on some things. And I was hopeful of possibly, hey, being out of debt by the summer, or being in a position to purchase a home, or to get ahead on my mortgage, or whatever it may be, to purchase a means of transportation. So I was hopeful before this happened, right? But now that this
Yep.
happened, like you said, how do I remain hopeful? And what I want to say first is even if you're not right now, I think what we have to do a better job with one another is how do we sit in those places and suffer with one another well,
Hmm.
and not try to, if you will, after winning the Super Bowl, every coach gets a Gatorade bath where it's ice cold and it's freezing. And sometimes when you're trying to come to people and you said, hey man, but you gotta hope, you gotta get, sometimes it's like that cold shower of ice, and it's like it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready for that because right now I need to within myself sit here for a minute, be still, be patient, and the weight to try to see, man, what am I gonna do now? And because I was hopeful before this happened, that because I was doing all the things that the world organizations tell me I needed to do to get out of debt or to build this or to do this.
Yep.
So that's the frustrating thing is when you're doing all the things and then something still happens. So how do you remain hopeful is I think you got to go back to the things and what you were accomplishing in the beginning before this happened. It's looking back in order to be forever forward, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
let's
I
look at
think a good context to put on it. I have some friends in the recovery community right now that for those first number of weeks of recovery, they're at every kind of AA meeting they can be at, and now it's like no AA meetings, no support groups. Uh, that's great to look back, coach, but like that's a rough place to be.
well,
Like
I'm saying is, and that might not work for everybody,
yeah,
but I need to look at what I've accomplished,
that's what you
and I
mean.
have
That's what
and I have to understand that what I'm not accomplishing isn't self-inflicted. It's due to a situation that has happened around me. And I think initially what begins to happen to us as people, we begin to say, oh man, but I did all this work and this was all for naught because this has happened. And what I'm saying is, no, we have to look back on what we have accomplished and what you've done with what you had to get you to where you are. COVID
yes.
19 can become, I think, for us as a world and as individuals, a fence post moment to say, hey, this is where my life was before COVID 19. This is what I learned in the middle of it or going through it. And now this is who I know I need to be as I come out of this. Because this was a stop and this was a stop and a break for everybody.
Yep.
This put a halt on whatever it was I was working on. Why? Because that doing may have become more important than me being. And that's going back to our being and our doing culture. Remember, the being culture is always going to ask, well, how are you doing? The
Mm,
doing culture is always going to be heavy in activity, busyness, work, productivity. But sometimes through this, we have to get back to our being stage of saying, man, yeah, I accomplished a lot and I did a lot, but man, am I still accomplishing doing those things from a place of who I'm birthed out to really be? And
yep.
so that's what I mean by saying you have to look back, even with the person that's dealing with addiction, you can look back that you said, hey, I made a decision to go get help. That was a great moment.
You look at the progress, look at
Yes.
and I love what you just said, coach, because it's about owning the pieces that you can own.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's what I want to encourage everyone, even as we're reflecting back on Bishop's talk and everybody else that's just going through COVID-19. It's owning our parts in it. And I
Yeah.
think it's huge because in a lot of ways, like, oh man, recovery doesn't work. I have recovery friends in my mind, and it's like, no, yeah, it absolutely does. Don't make COVID-19 the reason why you relapse.
Yeah. And
That's your
it's
decision.
yeah, exactly. Like let's own it. Like it's the person that says, "Oh man, I just started going to the gym and I'd been going faithfully for a month and now this happened." Okay, it happened. Here's the thing, you may spend that first week eating like you used to eat and going crazy and feeling bad because, depression's a real thing that sets in and it may even be acute. But at the same time, don't allow the situation to speak louder in what's happening than the being that's on the inside of you. That's always my point in all this. Because I can't control COVID 19. I can't, but I can control how I respond to it.
Huge.
I can control how I respond to it. I was just talking to one of my student athletes today who, in his mind, he feels like he has more time on his hands. So he's like, hey, coach, man, I got an opportunity to go and work. But I said, no, man, it's 10:15 in the morning. What would you be doing right now if it wasn't COVID 19? I'd be at school. So I said, you have to be intentional with how you manage your time and how you manage your days, because here's what here's what I'm asking you to do as a mentor, as a coach to you. I'm saying that I need you to mature and grow up very quickly in this moment. Because if not, you will look back on COVID-19 and says, well, if COVID wouldn't happen, then I wouldn't have fell in this. No, 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 no.
Mm.
Own your situation and let's respond well. You got resources, you got an online school, you got teachers that are waiting to talk to you. Hey, they're ready to meet you where you are. Set up for yourself. And I said, let's sit down and set up what your day looks like from day to day. From what time do you get up? Yeah, now you don't have to get up at 6 o'clock or 6:30, right? But let's get up at 8.
Mhm.
Hey, from 8 to 8:30, man, I'm getting up, I'm getting cleaned up, brushing my teeth, yada yada yada. I'm getting me some breakfast, this and third. But hey, I'm gonna start working because you got all day to log in online. But don't take that as, oh man, I'll do that later. Don't push it off. Move it to the front, because man, once that's done, whoo, you know what? My workout's over for the day. Like, I don't work out in the evenings. If I wait and work out in the evenings, it's probably not going to happen. So I try to do it first thing in the morning. Now I've accomplished something. And I've even learned from somebody, one of the easiest things that you can do consistently as a person to give yourself a sense of accomplishment is when you get up in the morning, make your bed up.
Hmm.
You've accomplished something that day. You made up your bed. That's a great start for the day. You made up your bed, man. I think a former Navy SEAL talked about that in the book. Says, hey man, just get up in the morning, make up your bed, right?
Accomplish.
Just make up your
Start
bed.
start
You're
start
accomplishing
start
something.
start the day with an accomplishment. What I love about this, coach, is what you're saying is don't scapegoat it, because we
Yeah,
can
without
we
a
can
doubt.
and what a scapegoat is where you put all the blame onto something or
Hmm.
someone and say, no, it's all because of COVID-19. Oh, it's
Hmm.
all because of my mom and dad. It's all because of my upbringing. And to bring this back around though to Bishop's conversation,
Oh man,
I,
please go where I think you're going, because this is going to be good. And if you're not, I'm going to say it. Go ahead.
yeah. We have to take ownership of the parts we can take ownership for. Is this
Hmm.
where you were going?
No, where I was going was, hey, that's great and that's good. And I hear what you're saying. So why would you make the comment of saying that in times of crisis, the marginalized suffer the most? Because first of all, that's just as a statement, right? We're not
Mm-hmm.
saying that the marginalized are scapegoating because of the crisis. What we're saying is that times are a little bit harder for those that are in an oppressive posture,
Mm.
because people can kind of sometimes they could switch that up to say, well, are you saying that are marginalized people trying to scapegoat the fact that, well, we wasn't able to do this because of COVID-19? No, that's what I'm not. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is bringing about the awareness that in times of crisis, the marginalized suffer or impacted differently and maybe at a higher level,
The picture
because
that
they
we put
have
on
more
this
that
that
they have to overcome. That's the point.
the picture that we put on this last week with Bishop, I thought was very good, and it comes from canoeing the mountains. It's a lot of people, I hear him saying, "Hey, we're all together on this. We're all in the same boat."
Mm,
No, we're not in the same boat. Some
not.
of us are in battleships with uh, beautiful, huge stuff going on, and we're not feeling the waves of things. But then others of us are in a canoe or a raft, and that's what we mean saying that we're not all in the same boat. It's the same wave, but based on the size of your boat and situation, that's going to say how much you're affected by that wave. Isn't that true?
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And let's take, because this may be more comfortable for people. Let's move out of maybe the realm of race, because I know
Yeah.
that's an incredibly comfortable conversation for everybody, right? To talk about race. Um, but let's move over to the marginalized from the standpoint of generational, right?
Yeah.
Think about this for a second. I'm not in the same boat as older people that are in a nursing home right
Hmm.
now. I get to see my family every day. They don't get that anymore. They
Hmm.
don't get the visitation of somebody coming in, a family member, a son or a daughter or grandkids, great grandkids coming to see them and give them a hug and a kiss them. They don't get that. That's and for them, that's a crisis. They're in a crisis of COVID-19, and this is the outcome for them. They're more isolated. Now,
Yeah,
we
the
understand it's like,
definition of being cut off, and it's
yeah,
like
they're cut
cut
off.
off.
It's like, man, I don't get to see anybody. Y'all can talk on the phone, you can do a lot, and maybe even do Zoom, but there's nothing like, think about this. There's nothing like, and let's talk about this for a second. It goes back, and I'm teaching this to my kids right now. It goes back to the 5 love languages, right? And if
Hmm.
your love language is touch or quality time, man, you're not able to get that as an elderly person right now.
Hmm.
You're not getting that touch. You're not getting that hug. You're not getting that embrace. And you're not getting that, if you will, quality time physically, because nobody's allowed to come on in. Nobody's allowed to visit. And I understand it's no fault of anybody's. That those are
No,
protective measures. Those are safety measures. But that's going back to the marginalized in times of crisis suffer.
and
That's a
and saying
suffering for them.
that the elderly in Greater Akron are feeling this or suffering more so. And a part of this, we actually wanted to bring on one of our partners, a good friend of ours named Matt Reed. I know he's been on here for a little bit. I'll unmute you, Matt, and I will see if you can start your video as well. If we can see that pretty face,
Hey, Matt.
Matt.
Gentlemen,
Matt, if you don't mind introducing yourself, Matt is a wonderful partner of Love Akron, and I just love this
Hey,
guy. So
hey.
introduce who you
I got
are, who you represent, and man, this jumps right into this with this marginalized group being the elderly in Greater Akron.
well, first off, I want to say that you gentlemen have really forced me to up my game here. This last half hour of listening to you talk makes me realize I need books, maybe maybe study a little bit harder, because there's some heavy concepts being floated around on this live stream. That's cool stuff.
Thank you. We don't kid around on here, man. We wanna
No, well,
we wanna talk.
And listen, here's the thing, Matt. We can take no credit for this, man. This is Bishop Johnson kind of laying his egg on us and leaving. And now he's kind of forced us to be in and marinating this for the next couple of weeks, man. But it's a good thing, right? Because I think it forces all of us to kind of to grow and to bring some attention to things that maybe we didn't think about in the time. And that's the beauty of this, right? That's the beauty of and I'm gonna say this, but that's the beauty of partnership. Because you got true partnership, there is this, if you will, irony sharpen ironing type of approach of tension and friction. That's really good because it causes us to grow. So, man, this is great.
I love it. I love it. And yes, so my name is Matt Reed. I'm the Senior Vice President of Communications and Administration at Direction Home, Akron, Canton Area Agency on Aging and Disabilities. There will not be a test on that name, but I want you to at least remember that Akron is in there, and that we are your area agency on aging. We're a designated nonprofit that is part of the aging network, all the way down from the federal government to your local cities. And I was talking to Lori from Love Akron today, and just saying, we've got a lot of really good COVID-19 supports for older adults, but I'm having a heck of a time getting the word out about it. She said, "Can you be on the computer in about 10 minutes?" And I said, "For you, anything." So here we are to talk about how we are supporting older adults during this time. And Kemp, you hit it right on the head. There's a lot of struggles going on right now. You see what this virus does and who it attacks. Older adults are right there in the forefront of who this virus is targeting. It's really bad for older adults. And so I can speak from personal experience. My parents don't really go out anymore. We do their grocery shopping. We pick up needed necessities that they have. because they're kind of in the crosshairs. So we know that there are a lot of people like that out there, that can't go out, that still need to get things that they need. And so we wanted to make sure that Greater Akron knows that our area agency on aging is there to help provide supports for when they need it.
Let me make sure. Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right, guys?
Yes,
Still
sir.
hear me good? All right. Yeah. So, okay. So direction home, like what's the focus specifically right now? Like how are you like actively like boots on the ground? Whoa. One of my sons is walking in, guys. I told you. I told you. At some
That's
point,
right.
it's going to get crazy, but I
That's
hope it's
right.
not today. So tell us about Direction Home and what you're doing right now with people
I'd love to.
during this time.
So one of the things that we are hearing about is meals. People need meals more than ever, and so we have pivoted. Federal government has sent additional resources, some funds down, so we are able to really crank out home delivered meals for folks. That's been our primary area of concern. I keep kind of doing this, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and right down there is the meals. You got to get people fed. So we are currently activating a meals program for 60 plus residents in Summit, Stark, Portage, and Wayne County. If they need meals, they need to just give us a call, and I'll give the number out, and then maybe we can put it someplace, but it's 877-770-5558. Again, that's 877-770-5558. Folks just need to give us a call Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We have Aging and Disability Resource Center representatives on the phones then to answer questions, get you signed up, and see if we can find some home delivered meals for the 60 plus population who need that during COVID-19. That's kind of our primary push right now, is to make sure that folks are getting fed. One of the other things we're doing
So
too.
when people call, then sorry to interrupt you there, Matt.
No.
So when people are calling, these are people that need food, or people. Hey, I know. Go tell them I'll be there in a minute. Let's be honest, guys. Having kids and working from home gets pretty crazy. But if somebody is maybe has a grandfather or a mom and dad, is that something they can call on their behalf? Like, or is it something that the person that's actually in need needs to call? Just give me a little bit more on that so our listeners can understand it.
Really good question. So no, if you are a caregiver for someone and you need to connect them to those resources, what we'll do is we'll do a screening over the phone, make sure that we can get everything tied up, and if we need to reach out, we can. But we know that there are a lot of complications to getting people connected. People don't have phones. Maybe they ran out of minutes. We know that there are those limitations. Some people can't watch us today. And hear about these resources. So that's why I said earlier to Lori, I love what you guys are doing about connecting the connectors. And I was just thinking to myself, if I had one wish for people that were hearing this right now, is take that phone number, put it in your Facebook message, shoot it out, to just post it on your wall and say, hey, if you know of an older adult who needs help, have them call this number. And hopefully that can spread, because we have the ability to help folks. We just need to make sure that they know we're around, because people don't like to think about needing help. They like to be self-sufficient, and older adults are no different than that. And so, it might take a time like now for people to say, I really could use some help. And that's what we're here to do.
Man, Coach, I gotta go make sure my kids aren't destroying each other. So if you don't mind talking to our good friend Matt about these details, that would be perfect, my friend.
What I was gonna do, man, is as long as talking about details, could grab, because I got people like beating at my door as well, so we're in the same position, the same problem. But no, Matt, what I love about what you guys are doing, man, you guys have stayed the course and been very consistent. I think even in this time, and as kind of Bishop talked about last week, kind of the marginalized. I think it's not just a race discussion, but it's those that truly get marginalized. And I think I've heard several different prayer requests throughout the week, whether it's from my own church and brothers and sisters I go to that, man, that have parents in nursing homes that are like, hey, not being able to see my parents or them not being able to see us, man, has been hard. It's tough. And so I appreciate the work, man, that you guys are doing with kind of meeting people where they are, whether it's with, hey, we got to get the meals out to these people for you and your own, saying that, hey, we're going out grocery shopping. And that's one of the things we're trying to do with our Now Divert Movement campaign is if there are any people out there, older people in the Akron area that needs anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at Love Akron. We can connect you with some of our partners, or if it's just something that, man, that we can do for you. I think that's what you guys are doing, Matt. Is hey, let's pivot as much as we can pivot to see what we can do about meeting people where they are. Is that kind of? It seems like that's what you guys have done and doing it really well.
You said it better than I could have. I think that you're absolutely right. And these challenges, everybody's got their own thing going on. And so you were so right
Yeah.
when you said nursing homes. There are people, we work with some rights protection in nursing homes. And so we call families and we get to try to solve problems over the phone. But there's people that don't have access to cell phones. They don't have access to what we're doing now. And they haven't heard a voice other than the people since it started. And so whether it's praying, whether it's, writing a card and sending it in or something, there's always something that you can do to help the people around you. And that's the message I've taken from your ongoing social presence. And it just warms my heart to see that sort of messaging going on. Because that's how we're going to make sure that people aren't marginalized, is by bringing them along with us, right? Like, I'm an analogy guy. And so I love the whole thing about the canoe. And sometimes you're in a battleship and sometimes you're in a raft that's leaking, so maybe hitch your raft to this ship and we're going to get through these rapids together, because
Come on, man.
And so
that's good. No, that's good. Like, how do we connect to bring each other forward, even in this pandemic, right? How do we keep that going? And I love the things you just talked about, man. Is that something that you guys are doing to where anybody, myself, Ben, anybody could say, hey, man, if you want to write a card to someone in our elderly community, is that something that you guys are doing in your organization?
I just heard about that. Actually, Judge Stormer's probate court has been collecting stuff, but that's definitely something that we can connect people to. And if folks don't
That's
take
cool.
anything I say today other than the phone number, it's this: that if you have any needs supporting older adults, their caregivers, or people with disabilities, we are a really good place to start your search for answers and solutions. We may not be the answer, but we're going to get you to where you need to go, whether it's volunteer opportunities, getting a meal for mom delivered to the door, finding out what to do about loved ones in the nursing home, one-on-one consultations on the phone, linkages to isolation prevention. We've got all sorts on with like phone a friends, scam prevention. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on that we can help folks in the community kind of hitch to the battleship and get through these rapids together.
Man, one thing now, jumping back in here, thank you guys, is Coach, could you just speak to just the hand on the shoulder trust with these guys? We've actually got to spend some good time with Matt and his whole team and gotten to see their facility and everything. Maybe for those that are watching or hear this message, that be like, whoa, wait a minute, is change direction just, are they trying to take my money? Are they trustworthy? And why are they trustworthy, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's from the initial time that we received a call from them and they were interested in just kind of talking to us and getting to know who we are as Love Akron, because they had seen some things that we were doing online and said, hey, man, we kind of dig what you guys are doing. And so that led us to start the talk. And I think it goes back to the very first thing I said when you asked me what I took from Bishop Johnson's talk last week. And I think this is evident here. We've been moving our two organizations at a speed of trust. And I think we've set many meetings together. We've talked individually, but also as a group. We've met teams. We've broken bread together. But understand something, we didn't start doing something the first time we met. What we did was is that we valued the conversation, we valued the connection, but also we valued the process that it was going to take for us to get to today right now. And that was a really great thing. And so for me, just their heart going to their building, man, and just seeing their operation, man, and their heart for the work that they do and for the service they do, man, I was blown away by it, because you see that from the people, but it's kind of like you don't know if people have a home until you go to their home, right? You don't know kind of where they're coming from. But when I went into this place, they have such a great setup as far as their departments and kind of the flow of it. Like their flow is simply to help people get from A to C really well. And that what I loved about it is, and what helped to build my trust with them is, they never leave anybody alone. So it's not a thing like you come in and you say, okay, you start over there and it's just you. No, man, there's somebody there with you every step of the way. And that's what I love, because for somebody like me, and I'm not as smart as Matt and Ben, like I need somebody along with me every step of the way to kind of spell out to me what this means, what are these services, and how these services are going to benefit me. Well, man, they equip you with somebody that's going to help to guide you through that process. And that's what I love about it, because it is a process, right? But I think getting to trust is a process, and they're not having you go through that alone, but you're bringing somebody with you.
Man, and it is just true. And getting to know these guys more and more, like as far as Love Akron goes, we trust these guys. And yeah, that number again, tell me if I'm right. 877 877 7705 558. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct? Yeah, so we got that actually right here with the video. And so they'll call that and do that. Um Maybe just to ask you,
Hold on one
Matt,
second, man. We
like
didn't even asking. Oh, okay. You're asking. Let me see what you're asking here.
I'm sorry, I am
Because we
coming
never asked
halfway
you,
through.
Matt, we never asked you, man, how's you and your family doing, man? We just kind of jump
Yeah, we
in.
got to go back there, man. We got to go back.
Well, it's funny, as I watched Ben's door open, I took a look over my shoulder to see if my 4.5 in, because it's just a matter of time before she screams or the dog barks. So yes, I am
Yes.
working from home. I told Lori today, I feel like we have 3 jobs now. We have our regular job, our COVID-19 job, and our homeschooling
Yes.
job.
Yes.
That's the truth.
And I
We're
don't
gonna
know
have to.
about
We're
you,
gonna.
but I don't have any more hours added to my
Oh
day. So
man,
knowledge.
listen, we're gonna have to build a cohort of homeschoolers, man. Like, I can be the phys ed teacher. Bring all your kids over. Our phys education teacher, and like Ben can do the music stuff, and
Yeah, I'll help him be the.
and Matt, we're gonna put you with the mathematics. That
Oh,
you seem like a math guy.
English. I'll talk books all day.
English. All right, English it is, man. English it is. There it is, brother. Well, man,
Every,
prayers up for you and your family, man. Thank you so much, man.
Back at you to both of you. And I can't tell you how blessed I feel personally, having such good relationships to strengthen professional and personal bonds. This is awesome, gentlemen.
dude, that's so. Just to go back, everybody's good in the family, wife, child. Everybody's in a good spot. Just wanted to
Yes,
make
sir.
sure that
We're,
cool,
we're good.
cool.
Thank you.
Just the normal craziness right now. Um, okay, so then in asking a big thing that Bishop said last week that I just want to come back to was he was saying he said, people that are marginalized, these groups suffer disproportionately. And he said the way that we get around that is actually listening to people's stories. Now, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things that we've talked about so far has been more of the service of things. But I'm going to put you on the spot, Matt, as far as a story. Like, what is for Direction Home a story of like that right there is what we want to be, and it could be COVID-19, could be before, could be wherever in the thing. But we want to look in at this marginalized community and hear their story.
Wow, that's a heck of a lead in, and I'm glad that I'm the communications guy and I've been practicing elevator speeches. But I don't even have to fall back on that, because I'll tell you a story that I shared with our board last week. I mentioned home delivered meals. So during this time, we have already enrolled close to 300 new people with home delivered meal services since COVID-19. So a meal delivery driver goes up to a door, knocks on the door, waits for the lady to come and get her meal, doesn't get the meal, looks in the window, sees her on the floor, unresponsive, able to get in the home, calls 911, stays with her till the ambulance gets there, goes to the hospital, she's treated. That would not have happened if she hadn't had access to this meal. And there, but for the grace of God, uh, that is a success story for us. People staying at home, being safe, having those support structures, and to tie that back to the marginalized populations. Race is a part of it, but Kemp's right. Age is a part of it. How much money you've got in the bank is a part of it. We help people that don't have a lot of resources and they don't have a lot of options. And so we want to make sure that people have the ability to stay at home if that's what they want. And nowadays, staying at home is more important than ever. So it really is an important mission for us that we truly believe in. Is we're going to try to put the supports in your life that you need to make it and to make it well.
You're muted, Ben. You're muted. You're muted,
Oh
Ben.
man, thank you, sir. Thank you. But I looked good. I looked good.
I was engaged.
Yeah, he was like, I'm trying to read those lips. Okay, um, so we heard the number. Amazing. Call that number. It's with this video. How are other ways that people can connect? I know that calling is the best way to do it right now, but maybe, I mean, I know for me, a lot of times I'll try to either look at a website, I'll try to get some more information. It's kind of don't take our word for it. Go to your local library. Okay, where's the local library at to check these
Sure.
things out for Direction Home?
So folks can find us online at www.dhad.org. That's D as in direction, H as in home, A as in aging, and D as in disabilities.org. You can also go to gettingwiser.org. That is our Summit County based website that we've been building out with partners for the last couple years. We have a lot of good COVID-19 resources there. And then look for us on Facebook. You should be able to find us. We're friends with Love Akron on Facebook. You should be able to find us there. We've got almost daily posts now on COVID-19 supports, everything you want to know, from how to get those meals we talked about, what kind of supports are in your area, how to avoid the scams going on right now that are, I heard a saying once that someone said, never let a good crisis go to waste. And there's scam artists out there who are not letting this crisis go to waste. So you got to watch yourself for that. So yeah, link with us on social, link with us online, and give us a call.
Awesome. And I'm just gonna put that link in with this video. Matt, any other thoughts you want to give us before signing off today, my friend?
Just that if folks watching this, even if you don't need the help, share it on your page, tell your neighbors, get the word out, take it to church with you, and just let's try to all get through these rapids together by linking our boats. I think that's a great analogy. And I got to say, thank you, gentlemen, for having me on. During these times when I don't get to talk to too many people, it's nice to see two friends online smiling and talking for a bit. So I look forward to the time we can meet together in person again. But until then, I'll take these opportunities when I can get them.
I look forward to giving you a big old not social distancing hug. And guys, make sure to check out all that's going on and what Matt talked about. Matt, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you, brother.
We will talk.
Thanks, gentlemen. God bless.
Matt. See you. Man, Coach, that's just amazing getting to connect. What a good guy, man. So guys, you got to check out Direction Home. We'll have all the information on here. to put wrapping around thoughts, because we not just what we love. We're not just talking about race when it comes to marginalized groups. It's a part
Yep.
of it for sure, but it's looking at what groups are, and once again, back to that word, marginalizing, are being marginalized, and how can we help them? So it's great to be aware, but how can we help other than apparently calling Matt, which is awesome? Like what other things? We got our noun to verb campaign. How can people be a part of the solution rather than just worrying?
Yeah, you can get involved with our Noun to Verb campaign. We give 3 different ways to do that. We can do that during prayer. We offer prayer each and every day. We call it our 10 or 10. It's our stop and prayer break. You can offer through giving. We have a Noun to Verb movement campaign where you can go into loveakron.org/noun to verb, and you can contribute financially to help out some of these that are marginalized. I love what Matt was saying. How do we get the boats connected? How do we get some of these kayaks connected to some people that are riding down in battleships, right? How do we help that connection? But also, man, you can serve. I love what Matt was saying about, man, there are some elderly people in our community, man, that they need groceries, they need physical needs. And we want to be able to just go drop something off to them on their porch, let them know that they have it. So you can pray, you can give, and you can serve. Those are the 3 ways you can tie in with us with our Noun to Movement campaign at Love Akron.
Noun to verb movement. That, again, that's loveakron.org/noun to verb. We want to become that verb together, the movement. We're getting
Yes.
off the bench, my friends. We are not
Off the bench, man. Getting into the
we're
game.
getting into the game, and it's not only to Bishop's point as well. We'll continue kind of recapping that huge conversation next week. But that whole idea that it's not just, you don't get to win by saying we want to win. You do it by listening to each other,
Yes.
learning each other.
Yep.
And I would even say going through things together, man. I think we can come out of COVID-19 stronger as those that love Akron than when we went into it. Would you agree?
Agreed, man. Agreed, brother, for sure.
Well, good, man. Well, everybody jump on there, check out things from Matt all in with this video. But as we always say, and it's only Kemp and I, so we're gonna say it right this time, I guess, is if you don't do anything else today, make sure that you love Akron.
Love Akron.
We love you guys. See ya.
Take care.